Against him stands the Great Other, whose name may not be spoken.
By the old gods and the new. This is a phrase Game of Thrones fans grew up with. Also, thanks to the worshippers of the Lord of Light and the uber-hot Carice van Houten as Melisandre, we're also familiar with the Red God R'hllor. But have you heard of the God of Light's biggest rival? Turns out he has one, and no one really takes his name. Some kind of Voldemort kind of shit, you know? That's exactly where I come in today, to tell you everything about this forbidden god according to the R'hllor followers, known as the Great Other.
This woman will lead him into a war.
The Great Other stands in direct contrast to the Lord of Light. While the latter is associated with a heart of fire, indicating brightness and life force, the Great Other is known for its soul of ice, and is thus often referred to as the Lord of Darkness. And what comes with darkness in the Game of Thrones domain? Terror. Yep, Martin managed to fit in the idea of a song of ice and fire even in the religions, let alone the broader themes. Now, much like Lovecraftian entities, the Great Other too does not have an absolute tangible shape. True, neither does the Lord of Light have an idol or anything, yet the Red Priests could manifest his presence in flames and worship that left, something for the eyes to behold. However, for the Great Other, it is only a black void. We have no clue how to even imagine this thing. Because, come on, it is weird to pray to a dark sky. I mean, who would they even be praying to, huh? I kind of feel like the Great Other could have taken lessons from Pennywise on how to maintain a shapeless entity. Anyway, despite all of this, the Great Other is insanely powerful. See, we already know the might of the Lord of Light. He can bring people back from the dead. So to oppose him, we needed someone equally strong, if not stronger. That means the Great Other, an evil power beyond measure, fell into the wrong deity's hand, who is the harbinger of doom. According to the followers of R'hllor, these are the only two gods who fight an eternal war over the fate of the world. Remember the Thoros of Myr? Yes, the notable warrior fighting in the Greyjoy Rebellion. He was actually raised in the temple of the Lord of Light and grew up as a Red Priest, who, like Melisandre, also unexpectedly discovered that he had the ability to resurrect people. It was he who brought Beric Dondarrion back from the dead some 6 times by performing the Ritual of Kiss. Though Thoros served the Lord of Light, it was actually Melisandre who taught that the Great Other is only a moniker, and that his true name should never be spoken aloud by any mortal. I'll get to that part sometime. Obviously, we're all in the same boat, but probably the Great Other's potency thrives in secrecy and fear, much like the demon Velak. In the show, Melisandre does us the favor of explaining who the Great Other is, because no Westeros-born characters talk about him. In the show, Stannis agreed to sacrifice Axel Florent to the fires of the Lord of the Light after the man was found guilty of treason for not agreeing to denounce his allegiance to the Seven and convert to a worshipper of R'hllor. Melisandre believed that Stannis Baratheon was an incarnation of Azor Ahai, a hero in the religion of light. He was thus destined to rule the Seven Kingdoms according to her, and to sit on the Iron Throne, the Red Priestess pushed Stannis to make certain sacrifices to R'hllor. Stannis' daughter, Shireen, however, was horrified by this, and believing her soul to be too stubborn, Melisandre assured her that her uncle, Axel, was in a better place. To further persuade her, she talked about how the faith of the Seven and the Seven-Pointed Star were hoaxes, and mentioned the existence of only 2 true gods who are forever at conflict: the God of Light, who brought joy, love, heat, and life, and his antithesis, the Great Other, a wicked god who stood for ice, as in the cold and death. Shireen asked whether the idea of 7 heavens and 7 hells was real, to which the Red Priestess claimed that there was only one hell, the one they were living in at present. Okay, the last bit got philosophical, but our key takeaway would be how the followers of R'hllor feared the Great Other and held him as the epitome of malice. As far as the books are concerned, Martin slyly sneaked in the name in 3 of his novels, namely A Clash of Kings, A Storm of Swords, and A Dance with Dragons. In the first one, while Melisandre was being smuggled past the guards of Storm's End, she frowned at Sir Davos for even mentioning a god of darkness. In her words, "Speak not that name, sir, lest you draw his black eye upon us. He protects no man. I promise you, he is the enemy of all that lives." She even told Sir Davos that the real choice was not the houses they were ready to support, it was about choosing on whose side they were ready to fight. It was either for the god of flame and shadow or death. In the next one, Melisandre told Stannis about how she knew that he was Azor Ahai reborn, and just like the latter, who wielded the burning sword known as Lightbringer, Stannis was the prince that was promised and was fated to fight the others. So who did Melisandre refer to as the others? Of course, the White Walkers. Yeah, I bet you were waiting to see the connection between the Great Other and the Night King. The Red Priestess claimed that the White Walkers were the cold children of the Great Other and the dead were his soldiers. And that supports the popular fan theory that the Night King himself was the physical avatar of the Great Other. She believed that beyond the wall, the enemies grew stronger and a cold would come when the Great Other would pull humanity into its domain of everlasting night. In the last book of Martin's series as of now, Melisandre saw a white wooden face and 1,000 red eyes, as well as a boy with a howling wolf's face beside him. I know, that uncannily fits Bran's story arc. In fact, in A Dance with Dragons, Martin even hints at this when Bran hears whispers telling him never to fear the darkness and that it will be his shield, sword, cloak, and strength. While Melisandre believes that Stannis is the champion of R'hllor, fans could not help but link the vision of Bran and the Bloodraven. So where does that put us? Simple. R'hllor is a deeply dualistic religion, and from the perspective of the R'hllor worshippers, the White Walkers being his embodiments would make the religion valid. However, Martin did not indicate that in his books. For him, it is one of the many faiths that coexist with the others in Westeros. However, due to the series, we have ample reasons to believe that the R'hllor religion might not be valid. Stannis did not turn out to be the prophesied prince after all, which suggests that there is a possibility that the entire belief in the Great Other might just be a sham. Maybe in his next book, Martin would clarify how the Great Other did not really represent apocalypse. Rather, it stands for a struggle that the true successor to the Iron Throne needed to overcome. Or, even if it's true that the Great Other is nefarious, it might mean that instead of running away from the enemy, facing it head-on is the answer. The test of pure belief. If by any chance Martin too decides to make Bran the ultimate ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, the latter hypothesis would be justified. So, it's all about that goddamn never-ending wait. Hi. Alright guys, that's all for today. Martin has soaked the world of Game of Thrones in so much magic and witchy-woo that even after years, fans find something or the other to wonder about. The Great Other is definitely an intriguing plot point, and let's just hope the author pays this thing a lot more attention than it ever got in the show. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!